Hello and welcome everyone to the show tonight, Friday night, talking about this very unusual meteor storm that is hitting the United States. And it really is isolated to the United States because we really haven't seen reports of these sort of fireballs elsewhere around the world. Now, 70% of the world is made up of ocean, at least the surface. So if there is a surge of meteors coming in globally, most of them are going to be over the oceans and therefore probably not seen. But there is about 30% of Earth's surface covered by land, a lot of it uninhabited. For example, let's say Siberia or Antarctica. But there's a lot of places that are inhabited by lots of people. And well, we did see a large fireball over Germany back on the 8th of March. Netherlands and Germany. That's actually really what kind of started this wave of interest. I reported on that for you right as it happened. But since then, we have had a huge surge in sightings over the United States. I'm not just looking one or two, or, this isn't people making a story out of nothing and we actually get this amount every single month. This is an anomalous surge, multiple standard deviations above what is normal. If we go by the official NASA data for this, they do not take every single fireball report from the American Meteor Society and put it into their event page, their Chicken Little page as they call it. Well, if we look at that data going back to January 2018, here we see that there are a few months where we go up to 6 sightings in a month. We're already at 10. And I think there's more entries. Well, the month's not over, but I think there's more entries that they're going to add into this because they kind of wait for enough data to roll in. So when there's a report filed with the American Meteor Society, it accumulates witness reports. And then that may come in pretty much after the fireball happens, that sighting. NASA will update their event page up to 2 days later with that. So we're kind of always behind the ball with that. We're not really going to know how many sightings we had in March until around April 3rd or so via the NASA event page. Regardless, why am I talking about this? Well, tons of people now are discussing this. Again, we started breaking this story back on the 8th of March, been covering it every step of the way, and I just want to know what's actually happening with this. And as a result, I want you guys to know what's happening with this. Well, we're going to try to get as close to the truth as possible. There's a whole bunch of ideas out there. There's some people that are very dismissive of this being an actual surge in sightings, saying it's just, oh, there's more cameras out nowadays. It's like, listen, we've had these cameras. Everyone's had a cell phone in their pocket since the iPhone 4, okay? So it's not more cameras. We actually have more results and more reports. It's like, significant over baseline, significantly. But, there are those people saying that, is it from 3I Atlas, this interstellar object, which flew by the inner solar system fairly close to Earth's orbit? I've been talking about that. We have some data suggesting that these may be fragments from asteroid Vesta. These are meteorites, I believe you pronounce them that way. It's a little bit of a trust me bro source. So we're just going to go through everything. We're going to go through every single report. We're just going to do some sleuthing, find out what the deal is. This one here is from, I believe, New York on the 11th of March. So this is a sense of what a fireball is. And I really should probably pull up this graphic I made on fireballs. So let me pull this up for you, because some people are saying, oh, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the whiskey? We could do a shot of fireball for every single fireball that's happened in March, and well, we'd get very drunk. I don't think I would make it. Others would make it. I don't think I would. I'm trying to find this graphic though, and it's somewhere in here. Maybe it's if I type in meteor, it will pull up. It's basically a fireball is any sort of meteorite that is brighter than the planet Venus. That's the official definition of a fireball, which means that it's visible during the day. Of course, it comes in at night. There it is. If it comes in at night, it's also going to be visible at night, and it's going to make the entire sky flash. So you put this right there. Comparative brightness, apparent magnitude of celestial and atmospheric phenomenon. Lower values indicate brighter objects as seen from space. We have the sun here, negative 26.74, by far the brightest object in our sky. Full moon behind it, negative 12.74. Each increase of 1 is a 2.54 times increase in brightness. So this isn't just 2 times brighter, the sun, it's significantly brighter, as we all know. Venus is the 3rd brightest object in our sky under normal conditions. Right, you'd have to have a supernova or something for that to be different. Negative 4.9. A typical daylight fireball is around negative 7. So we're having a huge amount of these fireballs fly in right now, and it is an anomalous surge. So we're going to explore all the ideas. This may be some sort of new debris stream that we're in, because we're always learning more about our space environment, and we'll talk about the physics of comets a little bit and the debris streams that they create and how comets can form out of debris streams. They can fracture into debris streams. These are really kind of dynamic living structures that inhabit our space environment. And perhaps we're entering into or overlapping now with a debris stream that could have a big chunk in it. That's the thing. When you see small chunks in a debris stream, often, well, there may be a bigger monster lurking there. So it's not a good sign that we're having all these come in. NASA talks about them. They haven't, most of them are classified sporadic. We don't really have any well-known meteor showers in these months. We'll talk about that a little bit. Sorry, I have like a hair or something in my eye, but I'm fine. Okay, so let us get right into it. And we'll start with what these things look like. We'll kind of do a synopsis here. So yeah, hairball. Hello and welcome everybody to the live stream. Hope you're all doing well. Friday night here in the United States. It's going to be Saturday early morning if you're in Europe. Yeah, it's been a wild month. Let's just say that. It's been a wild month. I think it's honestly going to get more wild because we have 2 comets coming in close in the inner solar system in April. We have a sun grazer on the 4th of April, and then we have a comet getting very close to the sun. Not a sun grazer, but 0.5 astronomical units directly in between the sun and the Earth in late April. Its perihelion is the 19th, its closest approach to Earth, and that Sun-Earth comet alignment, that whole deal, that's on the 25th of April. So big planetary alignments in geometry on 420. I know some of you right now are celebrating early. And so this April, I think, is going to be pretty lit. Hopefully we don't get cooked this April, but anything is possible. We just hope that's not the case. But these fireballs are an interesting wild card variable on top of that. Now, what are we looking at here? We're looking at 3 different fragments that have been recovered, okay? So we have the Germany right here. This was on the 8th. It actually crashed into a lady's house. They recovered the fragments. We see the fusion crust on the outside. That's the black part, okay? And here we see the inner unblemished part. It's kind of a gray, white color. A lot of asteroids have this color to them, specifically HED achondrites. And then we go here to Ohio, and we see pretty similar. We don't see the fusion crust on this, but we see it looks pretty similar. Okay. All right. And then we see Texas right here, which was the 21st. And we see the fusion crust, same inside. So these could all be related to the same source. Again, our Trust Me Bro source is saying that these are from the asteroid Vesta and a debris stream that was created from that. Vesta being a very large asteroid in the asteroid belt. It's asteroid 4 Vesta, one of the largest. I think it may be the 2nd largest asteroid in the asteroid belt. This is what our recovered meteorite fragments look like. Not all of them have been recovered. Here we see the eucrites here, and we see that they do look quite similar. Specifically, this one there has that fusion crust. They have the cross section. They cut through it. So, you know, maybe Trust Me Bro is right. And there's a little bit of talk about this on the American Meteor Society webpage here. Has something changed in the near-Earth meteoroid environment? Other people are now starting to talk about this. Major news organizations are running this. A lot of people are posting videos on X. Some of them of actual meteorites. Others are taking videos of planes flying in the sunset and the contrails and saying they're meteorites, right? So many brain-dead things nowadays. But there is something that's changed in our near-Earth meteoroid environment because there's been this huge surge in sightings. So one of the people that works for, or volunteers, whatever, for the American Meteor Society, they chewed through the data that they have going back to 2011 using Claude AI, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But just to start off, that's exactly what we've been seeing here, including 2 rare HED achondrite falls, Germany and Ohio, in just 9 days. There's no source given for that. So it's like, I don't know how much faith to put into this in terms of classifying where these are from. And I think this is important to touch on because we did have an interstellar object fly past our sun and close to our orbit at the highest ever velocity observed back in October and November of 2025. This is 3i Atlas. And now, right when we're expected to pass through that area, we were talking about this, by the way, at least me, and there are others too, for sure. But I was talking about this back in probably at late August, definitely by September. We were already looking at the orbit and the trajectory and saying, hey, we could be passing through maybe a debris stream created by 3i Atlas in March and April because it has all these jets and everything. And well, now we're seeing this huge anomalous surge of activity in March. Maybe they're related. I mean, I think they are, but we don't know. It's a crazy coincidence if they aren't. I really don't believe in coincidence personally, but we're more interested in figuring out what the truth is rather than just like pursuing an idea agenda. So, and I'm going to show you some of these videos of the meteorites, okay? I showed you one from, for example, New York. Here's the one from Germany. I'll show you the one from Germany really quick, but we're going to go through them one by one later. We'll see this. It was a long duration. This one, again, crashed into a house. So this is where we have some fragments. That's a fireball, folks. Daytime, you see it, it's flashing, it's bright, even leaves this vapor trail through the atmosphere. That's a classic fireball. This was again on March 8th for northern, well, more like north central Europe. Northern Europe really is Sweden, Norway, Finland. Estonia likes to lump themselves in there. So this is a classic fireball right there. We can also see, for example, another classic one here, California on the 22nd of March. Long duration. You'll notice it's not lingering for 3, 4, 5 minutes. Some of these videos, maybe you've seen them, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, but a lot of these videos circulating on X and maybe TikTok and Instagram, I don't know, right? It's like a 5-minute long video of a jet flying in the distance at sunset, but looks kind of like a fireball, not really. This is what, 5 seconds here? They're traveling super, super fast. Like you can get very slow ones. A slow meteor is like 12,000 miles per hour, okay? And those are quite rare. A plane is 600 miles per hour at its fastest, more like 500 cruising, right? So these things are coming fast, often 40,000 miles per hour. Are we sure they're not Iranian missiles? Yes, it is very interesting, another coincidence, that right after the outbreak of this new conflict in the Middle East, which the United States is taking a very active role in, if not the most active role, all of a sudden we get this to start happening. Whether or not it's related, I mean, I think these are meteorites, okay? Because we're not getting reports of, Shahed drones blowing up Springfield, okay? And I've seen one of these drones before because I went to Ukraine during the war and I was there in Kyiv for their Independence Day. And they rolled out all the busted Russian tanks. They pulled out some of the busted munitions and detonated and all, de-detonated and all this stuff. They had a Shahhed drone there. So, we would know. But it is interesting that this is happening simultaneously. I consider it an omen personally, but well, everyone has their own beliefs, but I don't think it's just completely nothing. Not Iranian missiles, but very, very weird. Very, very weird. But where are these coming from? That's a big question. 3 sources of meteoric activity are expected to be active this week. This is, again, from the American Meteor Society Outlook for the 21st to the 27th. So this is near the end of this time frame now. But between March 18th and 22nd, a new meteor shower from the constellation of Puppis was discovered. This is in 2025, tentatively called M2025 F1. Rates were low. And basically they're coming in slow, 15 kilometers per second. And it was just discovered for the first time last year. Okay. But this is a new meteor shower stream of low activity that is identified for this time period. Only 1 year data supporting that, by the way. Okay. Maybe it's a one-off. Right? Ideally, you get like 10, 50, 100 years of like, oh yeah, like clockwork every year we go through it. Well, that's not that. The new Cygnus is a part of weak activity, active in Cygnus during March and April, discovered by a couple individuals, International Meteor Organization, particularly active from March 22nd to April 23rd. And maximum activities around April 21st. Well, we've been seeing a lot of these sightings before March 22nd. So, I mean, there's another thing there. Average velocity, 44 kilometers per second. But rates are expected to be less than 1 per hour. And again, this is so isolated to the United States. It's very, very interesting. Delta Pavonids, discovered in the 1980s. Active from the 21st of March to April 6th. Maximum activity on the 31st of March. Average entry velocity of 59 kilometers per second. Rates are less than 1 per hour. And due to their southern location, they're poorly seen from the northern hemisphere. Okay, well, the United States, baby, we're up there in the northern hemisphere, mid-latitudes. So probably not that. Zeta Cygnids, also part of the weak activity, right? Weak activity in Cygnus during March and April. Active really from the 21st of March through May 1st. Maximum activity on the 6th of April. Entry velocities of 44 kilometers per second. Average meteor from this source would be of medium velocity. Rates are less than 1 per hour during this period. And due to their far northern location, these meteors are poorly seen from the southern hemisphere. Okay, that's interesting. Near the constellation of Cygnus, which is, way up there, the Swan constellation. Sporadic meteors are those that cannot be associated with any known meteor shower. All meteor showers evolve and disperse over time until they are no longer recognizable away from the peaks of major annual showers. These sporadic meteors make up the bulk of the activity seen each night. And so something that's also been thrown around, there's supposedly an equinox effect, the spring meteor showers where rates are 10 to 30% greater than normal around equinox. We're now about a week off of equinox, vernal equinox. But again, if I go back here, our highest months here, going back to January 2018, NASA official event entries. So these are big sightings, okay, for the United States. This does not have Europe in there. Highest months here are 6. The average is 2. So the average for this data set is 2 sightings per month. At 10, and this again needs to be further updated because we've had new entries now. At 10 though, we are 4.5 standard deviations above normal. So it's not 10 or 30% greater. This is way bigger than that. Way, way, way bigger than that. Let me now show you. We're going to go through the list of them that I have videos for, okay? Here we have Louisiana on the 2nd of March. We see it up here, okay? Give this a watch. You see this guy come in. There it is. Fireball, Louisiana, the 2nd of March, shining very, very bright. Here we have Washington, 3rd of March. Also British Columbia, Canada, Vancouver, that whole area. 3rd of March. That really started the wave. Then what got people's attention was Germany in '08. So we'll look at that again. There it is right there, really lighting up the sky. Here we saw this once, but we'll look at it one more time. Here we see the fireball over the Netherlands and Germany on the 8th crash into someone's house. This is the first fragment that we got from the sky. That dot right there, by the way, is like a lens flare. So it's not two objects flying. That's just the camera picking up some of that light reflection and, you know, creating this little traveling companion by the looks of it. But that's Germany on the 8th. Here we have Pennsylvania on the 9th. This was captured by NASA's all-sky camera network. So it's not the best footage, like, you know, ideally be someone's camera looking in, zoomed in, whatever. But we do get just visual confirmation of this one through the NASA all-sky camera network right there. That's on the 9th of March. Here again is New York on the 11th. That was seen by a lot of people, you know, sightings from all across that area, not just New York. Here we have Ohio. This is also where we collected fragments, okay? This is the 17th of March. Seen during the day. That's a daylight visible meteor or fireball. So that's really what it is. You can see it during the day. It's very obvious. That thing is ripping and roaring. Plasma surrounding it as it comes in, vaporizing. Here we see Texas on the 21st of March. Right there. It actually got picked up with our geostationary imagery from GOES satellites because they track lightning flashes, and it happened to take a snapshot right at that time where we got this sort of you know, apparent flash of plasma in the atmosphere from this fireball. So that was Texas on the 21st. Here's California on the 22nd coming in, seen across a lot of Northern California, also seen across like Nevada, Oregon, widely seen across the west coast of the US. But this here is from Morgan Hill, California. Imagine going outside and you're drinking a cup of tea and you see that thing come in. And then you start hearing these reports and that there's been more than this. It's like you start to wonder, like, are the aliens are coming? Right? Are they like dropping probes, or are they seeding our planet with some sort of unique biologic organism or something? Like, these are kind of far-flung ideas, but you start to think a little bit, it's at least not too far-fetched in the grand scheme. I mean, there's reports back from the Middle Ages. A flash warning for this one, guys. If you're viewer sensitive, flash warning for this one. This is Oregon on the 23rd of March, okay? And you can see, again, just how bright this thing is. So it comes in and it really puts on a show, leaves the vapor trail. Again, flash warning. There it goes. Wow, right? But as I was saying, we have reports in the Middle Ages of there being like a sky battle over this one German town. And they have murals from that time period. So there's weird things that have happened on this planet in the past, right now, in the future. It's all happening simultaneously. That's Oregon on the 23rd of March. Here's Michigan on the 24th of March. So we see it coming in right there. Kind of zoomed out, so not the absolute best view, but we do clearly see a fireball coming in there on the 24th of March. That's in Michigan. You'll notice that's basically also Ohio. A lot of people call this one Ohio. Technically, it was really over Michigan, but people saw it from all over. So we have a lot of sightings from Ohio. Case in point, the next one, 26th of March. Ohio, right here, coming in early in the morning. And we have had more since then. So there are more entries in the database than just this. We can look first at our NASA database, and then we will look at the American Meteor Society database, okay? So we'll look at our NASA Skyfall database. And let me just pull that up for you. Here it is. So NASA maintains a database of significant skyfall events. That's that graph that I showed you. It's pulled from this, okay? This is linked in the video description, and as well as some of these other resources that I've been showing you. So it's probably better I stand over here. This goes back to January 2018. Just look at the dates here. 27th, and this is all universal time, by the way, okay? So universal time is more Europe-centric than USA-centric. 27th of March, 24th of March, 23rd, 21st, 17th, 11th, 9th, 4th, 3rd. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I just did what an AI can't do, okay? 10 events in March, and that's not including some of the significant events that have been posted to the American Meteor Society database, which we'll look at next. You go down here to February, 2 events. You skip January completely. And then in December, 4 events. That's actually, 2 more than average for this database going back to 2018. Point is that this isn't that common, and we're now seeing a huge surge in sightings. We can look at our American Meteor Society database. Oh, here it is. So here's the American Meteor Society database, and key thing to look at here are the events and the dates and times for that, and then the number of reports, okay? Because some of them just get 5 people, 2 people, right? Those aren't going to make that NASA page. Doesn't mean it didn't occur, but it's more likely that it may have been smaller. But when you get a big fireball, people see it. I mean, they're like driving down the highway and they think the world's ending because they see this mother come in. And like, in Ohio and Texas, they heard a sonic boom. Germany, like it rattled houses. There was a shock wave created by the explosion of it. In Ohio, that thing was 6 feet across and weighed 7 tons. That is the estimate. Exploding with the force of 250 tons of TNT. In Texas, it is 1 foot across and exploded with the force of 26 tons of TNT. Both of them creating sonic booms. So Ohio one bigger. It's getting pretty big, 6 feet across. Tunguska with Russia back, I believe, in 1906. Probably 1906. That was like 60 feet across or so. And well, there's much bigger out there. But that could have leveled, if Tunguska happened over New York City, would not be good. Let's just say that. New York would be gone. So we see here, for example, 97 reports. Okay? That's a lot of reports. 149 reports. There, this is the 24th. So you can see how NASA chooses which ones to put in their event page there. 141 reports, 321 reports, 183 reports, Texas. So some of these really get a lot of reports. Others are less than 10, but there's some that are in that 25 to 50 range, which are quite significant. This video that I showed you here, let me pull it up. This video I showed you here is specifically this one right there, 30 reports, okay? So 30 reports for this, the last one. Well, that's a big fireball, folks. Now, it's not as long-lived, like 5 seconds as some of the others, but that's a big fireball. You see that and you're like, wow, okay. So that's 30 reports because it was only at, it was at 5 in the morning. Who's seeing that? So there is some bias here in terms of when it's coming in. If it's daylight coming in during the day, you're going to get more people. They're driving, they're picking their kids up, they're kicking back on the porch. lighting one up. I mean, whatever. They're doing the things. They're having fun, hopefully living life and, you know, having a good time. But this is what's happening right now over the United States and really not happening elsewhere across the world. Now, what is like here we have a normal meteor stream. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like. Here's the constellation Gemini. You have Orion. Okay, and basically we call these the Geminids because when we're in that peak flux, in the peak days, December 13th, if you in general are out at night, dark sky conditions, you're looking at the constellation Gemini, you'll see these little tiny, not fireballs, but meteors, you know, that basically look like this, flying out every now and then. I saw one a few months ago in San Diego. You know, there's some light pollution there, but it was like a quick, bright blue light. It was not a fireball, but it's like, whoa, okay, like that's a really nice shooting star. Some of them, of course, are just like a microsecond. That was like a good, all right, we got something. Not a fireball, though. This is what is very common with a meteor stream, is you get these sort of events. You can have bigger chunks in there, which then can create these fireballs, but you need a big enough size for a fireball. Most of these, for example, are going to be like the size of a pebble. Like really, like a very tiny, tiny pebble. You can get a fireball, though, from something that's 2 inches across. So now we're talking about 5 centimeters, right? 2 inches. Now it's starting to get big. Now it's a rock. It's not actually a rock, but it's a rock. But pebbles create these. You need rocks or, you know, it's this big, a foot across. This is Texas. Or, well, my wingspan is beyond 6 feet. My wingspan for Ohio on the 17th, right? Kind of angle that for you. That mofo coming in. Big, 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 big. That's what's needed to create these fireballs. Now, the reason why we may want to be concerned a little bit is because of the physics of jet streams. Here we see a cometary jet stream. We have 209 P linear, and we see the jet stream, the debris jet stream that it has created. It came in behind Earth's orbit. This is the main comet that we've identified in this jet stream. But you'll notice that there are other things basically in this orbit, and that's how comets basically work, is that you can have one big comet, but there will be a whole bunch of particles that are spread out, and there may be smaller comets and smaller debris chunks within it, even though there is a larger one. It's really the physics of accumulation and congregation and accretion. That's really what it is. Jet stream accretion in space. It's how the planets form. The comets are like a smaller fractal version of that. And as, let's say, a comet gets close to the sun, it can shear apart, but then eventually forces will bring it back together. Not just gravity, but also electrostatic forces. You can have collisions between particles, and if the collisions are inelastic, meaning there's not that much velocity difference between them, then they can all of a sudden make their orbits more self-similar. They get close enough together, they build up a little bit of an electrostatic charge because of solar radiation ionizing them, and then boom, you get them to stick together, just lump like fairly loosely, but then you get these clumps start to form, larger clumps can aggregate together, and then you get this runaway accretion effect. So you simultaneously can have destruction and creation in a jet stream. And what that means is that you can pass through a jet stream one year, and then maybe 100 years later, there's been some new, perhaps, aggregation that's occurred. And therefore, maybe you're in for a surprise with all of a sudden a burst of meteor activity with like a meteor storm. Well, there's some monsters for sure lurking out there that we have no optics on because they're very dark, they're far, they're dim, all these things, but we may or may not know of the jet stream that they are in. So it is very possible that we are right now in a large jet stream, and this is not just sporadic background, but this is like a very large jet stream that we are in. And as a result of that, there could be something very big within it. Because again, look at this. We see the jet stream there traveling, and then the comet comes in behind Earth. So just because these things are already coming in doesn't mean that the big thing already flew by it by us and that these are particles trailing behind the big guy, let's say, it very well could still be on its way. Like these dynamics exist. Here's another example of a jet stream. Here we have the torids, okay? And they have a swarm cluster in this orbit. There's also a more distributed amount that passes through Earth's orbit twice a year. We see it going like that. And these primarily come out of the constellation of Taurus, near the Pleiades. There's two different main zones, okay? But this is a good example of what I'm talking about here. And so you can have some really, really, really big things in these jet streams. Actually, basically, if there is something big, it has a jet stream. For the asteroid belt, the big thing is Ceres. 80% of the mass of the asteroid belt is the asteroid Ceres. The other 20% is everything else. The asteroid belt, though, has a distributed density. Like if you were to take the entire mass of the asteroid belt and distribute it out across that region of space, its distributed density is, I think, 6 orders of magnitude less than it is for the inner planets or the outer planets, which have a similar distributed density. Regardless, it's orders of magnitude less. So that is one leading idea as to why the asteroid belt is not yet fully formed into a single object, because it's a slower process of accumulation and of this aggregation, because its distributed density is more. So these are the dynamics of the solar system that we know of, and comets and asteroids are part of this. They have their own growth and decay process. We very well could be in something like this. Maybe there's a larger object. One thing to consider is Interstellar Object 3I Atlas. I've discussed this. Here we see the orbit of 3I Atlas. This is set for today. And we also see two other comets. The two that I mentioned, which is C2026A1 MAPS and also C2025 R3 Pan-STARRS. They are going to have their closest approaches in April 4th, April 19th to the Sun. Here we see 3I Atlas now flying past Jupiter. If we really go top down though, here we see why this is worthy of consideration. We see that Earth is here. 3I Atlas passed through exactly along the ecliptic plane in between Mars and Earth. This is back in October to November. It did not directly interact with Earth. So that would have really ensured that we would interact with things. But in my mind, we are close enough that if there is some distribution of material outwards, because it is exactly along that ecliptic plane, see that? It's basically horizontal, only 5 degrees off from the plane of all the planets and more. It is very possible that we are interacting with the debris stream. Now, we have recovered those fragments from Germany, Ohio, and Texas. And though I can't find any official source, there are some outlets and people saying that these are, asteroids from within our solar system. These Meteorites, perhaps. But our source is a little bit of a trust me bro source. So, when it comes to this, and that's only 3 of them. That's not all the different fireballs that have been seen. Here's our list. Huge list, right? We had to go back to page 2 to get out of March. This website takes forever to load, by the way. Right? It's very possible that some of these smaller fragments perhaps are chunks from Interstellar Object 3I Atlas. It's very, very possible. And we're just now getting to April at the bottom of page 2. Or sorry, not April, February. One thing to keep in mind as it relates to 3I Atlas is that, there is some, we don't know everything, first off. So to think that it's 100% not possible, we don't know everything. We don't know all the physics of space, plasma, and more. We just made our first observations of a comet that reversed its spin. It had a jet of activity on it that was sufficient to actually cause this thing to change its rotation. So it has a pretty high angular momentum, right? It's going like this, 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 this. This jet starts up. It's enough to actually slow it down and then reverse that direction. And so if you have a jet powerful enough to change the direction of rotation of a comet, and that's a lot of angular momentum you have to cancel out, it is certainly possible that you have a jet eject something into space that could then cross into the orbit of Earth. So we don't know everything. I think it's good to be open-minded and to look at these different possibilities, and not just to also ape into some of these more, not conspiracy type, but less accepted from the mainstream ideas. But when it looks like a duck and it's quacking like a duck, well, maybe it is a duck. Maybe. I don't know. I think the 3i Atlas angle is certainly worth exploring, but I'm not convinced that what we're seeing are chunks from 3i Atlas. This could be actually a much bigger story, because the thing is, 3i Atlas is already zoomed off, okay? It's not going to hit us. So that would actually be preferable if it was from 3i Atlas, because then we could get some interstellar samples, so long as there's not some life form there that's going to, kill us. We could get some interstellar samples and learn a lot about our universe. If it's not stuff from 3i Atlas, we are looking at perhaps us being in a debris stream, clearly a big one, because of the amount of entries in our catalog for the first time ever, right? We don't have this surge every single March of a big object, like a really big object. So that is certainly possible. Here is some of that data. They did a fireball analysis. We'll see how fast this loads. Again, this website is incredibly slow. They really need to update their server. And also, just for everyone who's wondering, what happened here? That's not what I clicked. Oh, I did click that. I needed to click that. Okay, just for everyone that's wondering, on yesterday's video, I talked about how my dad was going in for heart surgery. That went just completely stellar and fine. So thank you for everyone who's given their prayers for that. Dad's home now. He's doing good, in high spirits, ready to actually pack some more herb coffee for the web store, earthevolution.com/store. He likes to get at it. So if you want to help out, right, and keep my dad busy, which he lives for, then you can pick something up at earthevolution.com. But the second of 3 heart operations is done. Everything's fine. He put two stents in, and seems to be better for it. So thank you all for your prayers. It's really, really, really appreciated and touched all of our hearts. So has something changed in the near-Earth meteoroid environment? First quarter of 2026 has produced what appears to be a significant surge in the data going back to 2011. Now, they looked at it for just March, but they also analyzed this for Q1. And well, we didn't really see anything until March began. So, you kind of smear the data out when you're looking just at Q1. Regardless, here we see fireball events, January 1st to March 24th, 25 reports, 50, 100, and we see there, of course, the lesser amount is going to be higher, but in general, this is 2026 Q1 compared to 2018. In general, we seem to be going up. Probably just more sightings. That could explain that. But 2026 is certainly an outlier. I mean, specifically right there, very, very significant. At 50 plus reports, 2026 has 38 events versus an average of 18, more than double. At 100 plus, the count is 14, twice the average of 7. So the signal gets stronger as the threshold rises. The hallmark of a genuine physical change in the incoming material, not a reporting artifact. Here we see the data specifically there. And, well, we're definitely seeing a shift upwards. If we look at just March only, and we look at number of witnesses here. So fireball events with more than 200 reports. This month in March has more reports than all the prior Marches combined since 2011. And again, you want to look at, in one way of analysis, you want to look at the specific month because, again, these debris streams are concentrated at specific times of the year. So, well, this is an anomalous surge for March. And the key observation is that the base layer of activity, 10 through 24 reports, is essentially unchanged at 21 events, virtually identical to every other year. What changed is the large fraction of events that would normally draw 25 to 49 witnesses instead drew 50, 100, even 200 plus. The distribution did not broaden, it shifted upward. Almost half of all March 2026 events with 10 plus reports were seen by 50 or more people. The March average witness count per event was 142, nearly 3 times the next highest March on record, 49.4 in 2021. And removing the massive 3,229 report of the German event on March 8th, the remaining 41 events averaged 67 reports each, more than double the historic norm. Sonic booms confirm larger objects. So we're also getting these sonic booms that are shaking houses, shaking people, waking them up, saying, have you looked up recently? 30 of 38 events with 50 plus reports, 79% in Q1 of 2026 produced sonic booms, placing it in the top tier historically. What makes 2026 unique is the combination of prior high sound years like 2021 and 2023 had elevated percentages but moderate event counts. In 2026, both the rate and the absolute count are high. 30 large fireball events producing audible booms in a single quarter means 1 every 3 days approximately. So yeah, things are really, really heating up, as you can see. And here we see the sky map, the right extension and the declination for 2026, and we see that scattered all throughout the sky. So I mean, a bit of a clustering here, but that's where we get a bit of clustering in general. So you can't really attribute this to any key location, especially the super key events. There's one, here's another, there's another. It's all across the board here. So this is either just a complete statistical fluke where we're just happening to get a lot more coming in, which is like certainly possible, but the percentage of chance that that's going to go down and down and down, or we're in like a very large debris stream for some reason, or there's something that they're not telling us. Maybe like this Iranian thing. I don't know. I mean, I don't think these are Iranian missiles, but regardless. The two HED falls are unrelated, but despite being both rare chondrites, the Germany and Ohio events have an angular separation of 98.2 degrees, almost opposite parts of the sky. 2 falls in 9 days is remarkable. Well, you know, if Texas is one of those, then it's 3. So, yeah. So this is pretty crazy. We can rule out increasing reporting on smartphone adoption. You know, this platform has been mature since 2016, 2018. No new major showers are active in Q1. The enhanced activity concentrates around the helium sporadic source and high declination radiance rather than a novel radiant position. This is consistent with amplification of known sporadic populations rather than a new stream. And the well-documented February fireball phenomenon typically produces 10 to 30% increase in bright sporadic meteors. Occurs every year, but right now we're seeing the strongest signal in March, not February. So people running with that story saying, oh, it's nothing, it's this whole equinox thing. They're talking about February, not March. So the weird thing though is that we are seeing this primarily concentrate over the United States. Can you quit your job yet? I mean, you should have done that. You should have done that when the files came out. Because why are you still working at this point? Is the world ending? Well, no, it's not ending, but it's going to change, baby. The world is transforming every single day. So, yeah, a a lot happening right now. That's basically your update. Wanted to fill you guys in on that, give you all my thoughts. I don't know the answer. Just to, I guess, kind of conclude things. I don't know the answer. I think there's probably some interaction with 3i Atlas, but there is some trust me bro data evidence that, it's not just stuff from 3i Atlas. It just seems our entire space environment is becoming busy. So that's actually a little bit more concerning. It could be that there's a bigger asteroid coming in, and there have been a whole bunch of like UFO and plasma and space scientists that have either been murdered or gone missing over the past few months. It's kind of weird. It's almost like the plot of a movie. What was the one movie I saw? Deep Impact, I think it was. It's almost like the plot of a movie where, yeah, we hope that's not the case, man. I don't want, well, I guess if it happens, you get vaporized, you go straight up to God. If you're one of the good guys. If not, you're going straight down to hell. Certainly a lot of people are. I'm not going to be part of that group. I hope everyone watching gets beamed up. That's the goal. So I think we have some super thanks. Let's look into some of these super thanks here. Thank you, Jessica Johnson, for these super thanks. Could the fireballs in the sky maybe be just bugs burning up from all this extreme heat? Seems possible. No. Again, these things are traveling 20, 30, 50,000 miles per hour. These are rocks, from space. They got some size. They're incinerating the atmosphere. If they were bugs, then we'd be seeing these things a billion times a day because the bugs far outnumber us. So not bugs. Not bugs. And Chandra, thank you for the super thanks. And is it possible the fireballs we are seeing in the skies are all just AI generated? Well, the thing is that we're getting a lot of reports and from witnesses all around distributed across the United States, or in the case of Europe, some of these places like that. So no, I don't think that's the case. Let me show you. I think we have to be mindful of that. But I don't think that's the case. Let me show you an event here. We can see what this this map of witness reports looks like. This is from the American Meteor Society, okay? So they plot out the people and the location, direction of everything of these witness reports. So, and then if we go down here, we see 6 videos from different people. So are these people coordinating to create AI videos of fireballs at the exact same time? It just doesn't make sense. So this is the beautiful thing about crowdsourcing, for example. It creates these networks or systems or databases that basically you can't really fake. So that's a good thing. So thank you for that super thanks. Boom Shakalaka, thank you. Abraham as well for that super thanks. And Starfire 5D, thank you for the super sticker. K5RTO, thank you for these super thanks. Appreciate you. And Jay Hassar, perhaps the meteor should be sorted by location and time with the right ascension and declination, like make an animation based on reports in order similar to what occurs with earthquakes. That's a good idea. That'd be interesting to see if then there's any temporal trend with the right ascension to declination, or in other words, with the location in the sky that it came in on. So good idea. Maybe someone watching this works for the AMS and then, runs the calcs and gets the animation made. I'm not sure if that database is open to the public. I mean, they have a web interface for it, but I don't know if they have an API that you can plug into. I'll look into it. Maybe I can do it. There's no guarantees, though, that I'll be able to do that. But I think it's a brilliant idea. It'll help us to get to the truth of the matter. It'll at least get us one step closer. So, and then Wade Worth, thank you for the generous super thanks as well. So that is your update on the meteors and everything that's happening. I'm sorry I can't give you definitive. I know some people that are like, this, tell it to me straight. I'm telling it to you straight, but I'm not someone to just, confidently, like a con man, tell you something where we don't know the truth. So that's the best we got. I entertain all the different ideas here on this channel, doing my best to look at things factually, but with an open mind. If you like the sound of that, then please subscribe. I've been your host, Stefan Burns, geologist, geophysicist, space weather guy, cosmic bro. Your cosmic bro to here to help you understand what's happening here on Earth. Reminder that I first broke this story to you on the 8th of March with the first big fireball over Germany. Covered this multiple times since, have been on the pulse of this from the beginning, was on the pulse of 3 at Atlas from the beginning, have been on the pulse of multiple earthquakes, big earthquakes with earthquake forecasting before they happened. So we really do a fantastic job. I do say collectively, you know, our efforts to stay ahead of the curve. So if you want to be ahead of the curve as well as it relates to stuff, then definitely tune in for future shows, and I hope that you do. And please smash that thumbs up button. Peace, love. I hope that everything's fine in the world. This is not that big of a deal in the grand scheme compared to what's happening in some parts of the planet. Let's just keep that in mind. We hope that this is all she wrote. We hope that by the time April rolls around, things are like cool and chilling. I don't know. But this is certainly an anomalous surge of fireballs, not one to just dismiss. Maybe it just kind of fades away into a historic event that we look back on. Maybe this ramps up in an even more significant way over the days coming up. I'll keep you up to date on that. So thank you all. Wishing you well. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.